All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you in conjunction with PowerDot. Got the PowerDot Grand Tour Challenge going on right now over at Strava. We checked this morning. My man Higgs checked. Fellas, check this out. There is 370,000 people in that Strava Challenge. What the hell? I mean, I know this pandemic's got everybody wanting to go outside. That's insane. That's got to be the biggest Strava Challenge ever. I think. Shit. Hats off to PowerDot. I'm Lance Armstrong. You're one of your hosts. Over there, I was not supposed to go left, right, because my left, rights are all messed up. Over there in the hustle shirt is the first JB Hager in Austin. Over there in the C and the douche shirt is Mr. George Hincapie. I almost wore that shirt, George. And then our friend over in Madrid, Spain, in the Izod Lacoste shirt, Mr. Johan Brunel, with the cool backdrop, talking about what we're talking about, the best of the blue train. What's up, fellas?
Not much. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. George, did you see my ride yesterday?
I did not.
I don't know. You know, all your little pansy fans. I hope they go and look at my Strava file. Okay. I am coming for you. Look at that. You see that?
Road or mountain?
Well,
what'd you do? Just tell us.
Well, go look. You should go look. It's
right now.
No, we're on set. We're live. But so there's some couple of back ways that you can go from Vail or Eagle back over here to Aspen. So kind of the gnarliest one is over like a Crooked Creek Pass, which then drops you down sort of the top part of Rudai Reservoir. And it was hot, man. It was hot for this time of year here in Colorado. It was hot. So George, I just want you to have a look.
I'm looking.
74 miles
and
6,114 feet of climbing.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
4 hours and 52 minutes.
I did it on my mountain bike. I was worried about Crooked Creek Pass. I don't have a gravel bike here, so I just did it on my hardtail. But George, I just want to make sure you and all your fucking goo fans, they see that. All right, who's getting prosperous now? Now, it's just probably a perfect time to talk about PowerDot because full disclosure, I was so jacked up after that. My low back, I needed a low back transplant, if that even exists. So I spent the entire night on the PowerDot, right? This little bad boy, and again, like we always say, full disclosure, we're big backers of this company. We love them, love the team. It is a game changer. I'm not exaggerating. I think I had my seat a little high. My low back was completely nuked, and it's perfectly fine today. I didn't ice it. I didn't use a heating pad. All I did was PowerDot, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. 20% off for all of our listeners. Go to powerdot.com/themove. They've also teamed up with Feeding San Diego and Feeding America. Donate 40 meals for every PowerDot Duo purchase. We know that, look, if we think we're out of this craziness, we're wrong. It's just going to keep going and going. Today's show also brought to you by Ventum. Right over here, look, I had to bring it on set today. I'm so psyched on this thing. See right there? We got a lot of comments too about the fire. That's pretty cool. So we got we got Double Fire. Cool new brand. This originally started out as a tri brand. They're the official global bike partner of Ironman. This is their new road frame, the NS1. This thing is a rocket ship. By the way, this frame back here behind me, and you can see some of the pictures on social media, the paint, the whole We Do scheme, all of our icons, all of the messagery, everything. We're giving away a frame. So go to ventumracing.com/themove and register to win. Or if you want to snag one yourself, if you don't want to wait and see if you won, because if you just bought one and then you won the frame, you could give that to your friend or loved one or whatever. 20% off if you go to ventumracing.com/themove. Also, financing options available in North America, which I think is pretty cool, as well as a trade-in program. Today's show also brought to you by Kyoku. So Kyoku means song in Japanese. JB, did you know that?
I didn't know that.
George, did you know that?
You mentioned it last week, I believe. So yeah.
But you didn't know it before that.
I did not know.
Okay, then that's what I thought. So add that to put that in your pipe and smoke.
But they sent me some as well, so I'm trying it out also.
Look at you. So this is a new gen recovery drink that is completely personalized, and I think we're getting to this interesting spot in optimization and biohacking where really it cannot be one size fits all. So you go to Kyoku, KYOKU.com, sign up, fill out a little survey, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're into, your skill level, et cetera, what you want, what your goal is. 20% off. Kyoku.com with the buy code THEMOVE. And here's the deal. If you don't set a PR in 30 days, you get your money back. I mean, why not? In fact, George, I hope you're drinking a lot of this recovery drink. I am coming for you with the heat of 1,000 suns.
I don't see any PRs on this ride you did the other day, by the way.
Excuse me?
I see a lot of photos, a lot of selfies. How many times did you stop? There's like 16 photos on selfies on this ride. No wonder it took so long.
People, it's called engagement, my friend. Okay? It's called engagement. Photos drive engagement.
Got it. Okay.
They see me out there, with my friend. We were taking our time talking the whole time. You know what? Tell you what, I'll see you at the Aspen 50 again one day. I'll see you at the start, rather. But don't think you can hang with me now.
I'm not. I'm intrigued to see how our next ride will go.
Well, speaking of not hanging in next events and next rides, today we're going to talk about the first mountain stage of the 2000 Tour de France to Hautacam, where George does not feature at all. He decided to take the day off and leave the old man hanging. Before we jump into it, this is a funny story. I was just watching the edited clip last night, and Olivia was going to bed, brushing her teeth, and she walked by. I was like, hey, come check this out. And it was one part in the stage. I think I was the part when I was with Jimenez. Maybe I was with Pantani. And she says, who's that? I was like, that's me. She's like, what? Like, no gray hair, young looking. She's like, what? That's you? That's so funny. It's not like we sit around and watch YouTube clips every night. Kids, you must watch your father on YouTube. Anyways.
Hey, before we get too heavy into this one stage at Hautacam, I want to hear from you guys about going into 2000. You had just won the year prior, but yet you still were underdog somehow, which probably was kind of a cool thing. Probably nagged the heck out of you. But as Lance said last week, there were a lot of yes buts, and then one of those yes buts was, yeah, they won last year, but Ullrich wasn't there. Pantani wasn't there. And so you guys had to prove yourself all over again. What was that like?
Jan, you go first, and then I'll supplement if I can.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely the year we had to confirm. As you said, JB, the two prior winners were not there the year before. And that was a huge yes but, right? So finally, 2000, both Pantani and Ullrich were there, and they seemed to be ready for the race. In the meantime, we had gotten a little bit stronger because we had, commitment from certain sponsors, and we were able to hire some better riders. But we were not the strongest team we ever had yet. It was basically a project we were building on. So. We were one of the favorites, although Lance had won the year before, but not the super favorite. And this was the first mountain stage. So basically, again, one of those days where people said, okay, we'll see what will happen. We'll see if he can do it, with these big guys around now. So yeah, it was an interesting stage. And of course, we were all stressed and nervous. But I do remember, though, that it was terrible weather before the start, and the predictions were that it was going to be really bad weather the whole day. And I remember one. I mean, this is an image I still have in front of me. 20 years later, I was standing outside the bus. We had a little bus by then. No more chitty chitty bang bang bang, but it's a little bus. And I was talking to the mechanics about how bad the weather was going to be, checking on do they have the right brake pads, stuff like that. And Lance gets his head out of the small window of the bus and he says, "This is going to be epic." So it was good for my confidence because I knew that he was feeling good and that he was ready to put on a great performance, which he did ultimately.
But it was wet and cool, and it's funny even till this day. I mean, it was a reminder yesterday. It was hot. I mean, days like that are that I'm just not made for that. So days, as much as it is miserable for everybody, those cooler and cold and wet days were just better suited for me. I run hot. I sweat a lot. And so, yeah, you look outside and you're like, aha, I just did the rain dance. And, yeah, I mean, Johan, the one thing I will, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was a tour, Jan always struggled with weight in the winter. Everybody knows that. This, and I think it was 2000 where he actually, I mean, the beginning of the season, super heavy and really couldn't get it down. He started on the heavier side. And I think, as the first week unfolded, we were like, okay, we have to hit this guy. We knew that by the third week, he was going to be good and strong and lighter just from the racing. But we were like, we have to hit this guy right away. And you'll see in some of the footage, although he looked better in the footage looking at it last night than 20 years ago in the race. But, as I watched last night's footage, and I've spoken about this in recent times, you cannot help but talk about and acknowledge and honor and think about the family members and loved ones of a few of the main characters in this play today, right? You're going to see right at the start, you're going to see very prominently Marco Pantani, who is no longer with us. You're going to see Jan Ullrich, who is still with us, thank God. You're going to see Chava Jimenez, who gets third on the stage, who is no longer with us. And then you're going to see Ochoa win the stage, who also passed away a couple of years after this. If y'all will remember, he had a twin brother. They were out on a training ride, hit by a driver, and he was killed on the spot. And so, for me to watch, it was heavy for me to watch this and see that three of these protagonists, three of the main characters, are no longer around. And you'll see a lot of other characters. You'll see Baloki appear. Baloki, who years later was, obviously his career ended and made very famous by one accident, but you'll see him as a younger rider. Francesco Moreau, you'll see Santiago Patero, you'll see what is then going to be our future teammate, Tricky Beltran. So a lot of great characters and bad weather. And as
you mentioned earlier, Lance, you do not see me at all in this footage, which I think is a big part of this story as well, and which we can get back
what to. What happened? Well, then now would be a really good time for you to tell us what happened.
Well,
I demand.
As we were going through the footage, and I emailed Johan a couple of times because he obviously remembers this stuff a lot more than we do. But I mean, I think the story of your performance that day was obviously huge, but just as important was how much of a colossal screw up the rest of us were that day. I mean, you were by yourself with, I think, more than 30 guys. There was obviously a Spanish assault of the race that day with several Kelme guys up the road, several Benesto guys up the road, which was by no way that was an accident. They surely planned that, and we were nowhere to be seen. So I think these days you rarely ever see that, where your leader is isolated with such a long way to go. Already by the Obisque, you were by yourself. Over the Solari, you were by yourself. You just don't see that anymore. So it makes the performance that day that much more impressive. And there's nothing worse. There's no worse of a feeling when you're going back through all the riders and your director, Johan at the time, comes up to you in the car, looks at you and just goes, "The hell are you doing? Why are you back here?" And I remember those looks quite vividly. You don't want to see that from Johan those days.
No, I think George, in your defense, first of all, the last climb, it's kind of logical that you are not there anymore. But it's true. I mean, this was the first mountain stage, and guys like you had to do a lot of work, and this was probably day 9 or day 10, I don't remember. But the first week has been, very, very hard on you guys. Keeping Lance out of trouble, and as we said before, this was also basically for you probably the first year, as we talked about 99 the other day. You still had some kind of possibilities to do a little sprint here and there. 2000, it was clear already. We only had one goal. We wanted to win the tour. We had to win the tour. We needed to confirm, and so it was 8 guys at the service of the leader, and we just had one goal. There was no room for personal ambition. So, I would guess that it's a long time ago to remember, but in the first week, whenever you had no chances to kind of save yourself in a stage and go for a sprint, you had to be with Lance and keep him out of trouble, out of the wind. So I can understand why. I mean, first of all, you're not in the footage because it's only the last climb. But I guess I was trying to remember before what happened, because it was very unusual that Lance was by himself with probably 15 guys up the road and then probably 30 riders with him. So let's say that's 45 riders. Yeah. There's only one guy of you as Postal, and it's our leader.
Well, but to what we said a second ago, that it was a confirmation year, and there were a lot of people that did or didn't take seriously our chances to repeat. And so, and it might have been the single biggest silver lining in that, if that was year 5 and I'm alone with 30 or 40 guys, well, we're really and truly fucked. Yeah. But we also were at that time, I think, allowed to kind of draft off this sort of, we'll just call it the but train. Yeah, but he won. Yeah, but these Pantani wasn't there, Jan, et cetera, et cetera. And so it wasn't like that day everybody looked at me and was like, hey, dude, you've won one of these. You're here. You got to do all the work. It's been a long time. And so I don't know, but I think we did benefit from that in a lot of ways.
Well, to go back to JB's question, our American JB was, this year in particular, 99, of course we had pressure, but we didn't know ourselves that we can pull it off. And nobody really knew that we can pull it off. In 2000, they were like, all right, guys, let's see if you can actually do this again. We knew Lance was good, but the pressure on us, and a lot of people discount it, was that first 8-9 days of the Tour de France is incredibly stressful, incredibly dangerous. And that's where we were able to make a difference, was to keep Lance out of trouble and to sort of solidify the fact that we were able to repeat it. So it was a big toll on all of us. And of course, it's going to take effect probably on that first mountain stage where you didn't see us and there's 40 guys.
If you see, the other teams actually bought into that. Yes, but, because if you see the beginning of the footage, we have the group of the favorites for Lances. It's T-Mobile and Mercatone Uno, I think it was them. The teams of Ullrich and Pantani, who are setting the pace. And, Lance, of course, he was by himself, so he wouldn't do any work. But they actually had faith in the fact that their leaders could, pull it off again, and that we were just, a one-year event, the year before.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had a bigger bus this year. No more chitty chitty bang bang. Was there a lot more frenzy during warm up around the bus? Fans, Europeans starting to warm up from the results the year prior?
No.
No. They still weren't interested in you guys at this point.
Well, no. And you'll see when you watch the footage. It was, this is classic Tour de France. I watch it. I don't know. To me, the sport seems different. And I think we hear from a lot of our regular listeners or viewers, this is a different style of bike racing. And we all know what we all know. This is a very dynamic, this was a dynamic day. And again, you'll see just so many really cool and interesting characters. I had a blast watching it last night. Let's jump in. We got 25 minutes of it. So let's let's watch it. There's plenty of time for us to because it kind of at one point it kind of becomes obvious what's about to happen and what just happens. I'm still trying to figure out though what is more sluggish, George's legs that day or his internet today? Could we talk about that?
Hey, I'm at full capacity here. All the kids are shut down. Nobody's on any sort of Wi-Fi device, but this is my limit of Wi-Fi.
You're at the speed limit.
Yeah, I'll be with you in a month or so, hopefully. So we'll be able to use your internet.
You better be here. Let me do a little bit of business too, fellas, if you don't mind. Today's show also brought to you by Oura Ring. I mean, this is you see it. I got to tell you, I've gotten so obsessed with my Oura Ring. And this is, all sort of in the vein of just kicking George's ass. I've given up all these negative things in my life, really cut out the booze, started training hard, lost a bunch of weight. My sleep quality, because of, cleaning up the lifestyle, it's amazing the difference. Like when I go look at average heart rate variability, core temp, movement, stages of sleep, all of the things that the Oura Ring tells me, I just know I got you, George. I see this stuff and I say, he's done. He's done. But the cool thing about these guys too, is they're rolling this out with the NBA. They're rolling it out with some other leagues and teams. They've done some really high level stuff amidst the pandemic, right? They did a 1,000+ ring study with University of California, San Francisco. The reality is people were using this data to kind of predict and see when they were getting sick. And so I'm using it for different stuff. You guys should check it out. It is the most accurate sleep tracker on the market. I think there's a couple things that stand out. You have two choices. You can test it on the finger, or you can test it on the wrist. The finger is far and away more accurate than the wrist. So go to auraring.com. May need to get a sizing kit so you can get your finger size, and then get all this data. And it's also, I didn't mention too, respiratory rate, which by the way, they called me out of the blue one day and told me I have like a really good respiratory rate.
What is it?
Like, I don't know. They just said it's like the best they've ever seen. And so that's what people ask me, like, what was it and what does that mean? I said, you know what? I don't really give a shit. If they just told me it's the best they've ever seen. And so why do I care? I don't care if it's the number's 2 or 2 million, or if it means you're
Mine is like 17 breaths per minute on a normal day. So I'm assuming yours is a lot less than that.
No, I'm way ahead of you. I'm way ahead of you. But we'll talk about that another show. I think it's 12 or 13.
Damn.
Yeah. No, you have no chance. You have no chance. Today's show also last little bit of business today, and we'll break out and then talk about future days. But brought to you by Roca. I'm wearing the readers. That's the one thing that isn't getting better on me is my eyesight. Love these guys. Based in Austin, Texas. Founded by athletes for athletes. I think the coolest eyewear out there. They got the new Matador. I rocked the black ones today. You see me, George? That's the new lens. Justin Williams rocking these things. They're doing a great job on social media. ROKA, roca.com. Last year we did the custom ones for the show. I think we need to take sort of that colorway and do it on the new Matador for the tour, which, by the way, still looking like is happening August 29th to September 20th. 25% off for your first order for our listeners. Go to roca.com. roca.com/themove. 25% off for our listeners. Thanks for the support, team. This one starts right away. So don't don't refill your coffee yet. This one in the first 1 or 2K of this climb, it's on like Donkey Kong. All right. So then that's okay. So then you have, not a bunch of Pannekuchen here that have won on this finish. By the way, just outside of Lourdes, like the town of the miracle with all this miracle water, and we've talked about it before on the show. It's kind of a creepy thing. But this is the beginning of the climb. Look, here are all the characters. So here in surely Mercatone Uno and Marco Pantani believe that this is the day they're going to light up the tour. Over on the left of the screen, Alex Zula.
Michael Bogert.
You got Boogie there. past guest on the move. And the weather at this point isn't too bad, right? I mean, it's overcast. The road might be a little wet, but it's not raining at this point. There's Marco Pantani, Jan Ullrich. Is that Casa Grande in there?
That's Bartoli.
No, Bartoli,
yeah. But Casa Grande just behind him?
Yeah, he could have been there, yeah. So there goes Pantani, and at the same time here we have Heras, who's attacking from the front. So there was a breakaway with some really good climbers, which was obviously a concern, but there was nothing we could do. So here obviously Pantani believes that to attack there is it's difficult, and Zule takes it even a level up.
He does take it a lot. Just comes around. And a guy like Pantani, there might have been, wasn't on his team, but it was more of an art than it was a science to him. It was always my impression.
Yes, definitely.
And I saw these two guys going. Obviously, two of the big favorites, as we talked about in the last show. Alex Zula lost a big chunk of time in 1999 on the Passage de Gaulle. Here he's back, for redemption in a lot of ways. What's this guy's name? He used to
Pascal Hervé.
Pascal Hervé. This little fucker was strong. And look, talk about racing on art versus science. I was like, all right, guys, you want to keep lifting the pace? Pantani it surged. Zula came through him. I was on the wall. I said, how about we try this for a second?
So Lance, clearly by then you were training with SRM or watt meters, but you have nothing on your bike here. So like you said, this is all art. You're not doing it based on numbers. You're just going based on feelings there.
Totally based on feeling and based on the other guys in the race, right? And as you'll notice, I mean, certainly now everything has gotten light enough, the frames, the wheels, the components, everything that you're able, at this point, it's so light, you're adding weight, so you can add power meters. We were so concerned with weight and everything was still heavy that we did not have a left shifter. The STI on the left was an old school brake lever. We tried to eliminate as much weight as possible. The one thing, and as we watch this entire climb, of course, both Marco and I are standing there, is I rewatched it last night, and I remember people always asking me, like, why do you stand up so much? Right. And you'll see Alex seeing most people on steep climbs, they sit down. And as I rewatched, I was like, holy shit, I'm standing the majority of the time. And look at this. I mean, that is uphill.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the cadence. Yeah. I mean, Pantani even with a higher cadence than Lance.
Yeah, at this point, I'm of course, this is that point in any race where you're looking around and going, all right, who's for real? Who's bluffing? Who's there is an act here, right? And so neither of us really knew. Of course, ultimately the road decides. Hautacam is a hard climb. It's not one of the toughest, but it's Johan, I don't know if you'll remember, we went and previewed this stage and in the same conditions. And I just felt like I didn't know it. Go ahead, George.
Talk about before. I mean, you had the Obisque and the Solaire, which are, in my opinion, very difficult, very long, super dangerous descent, which, by the way, nobody's got helmets on here. I don't know if you got rid of them at the bottom or not, but
this is where, this is...
Yeah, it's the breaking point.
This is it. Pantani cracks here. And you'll see later in the stage, and he is such an emotional guy. You just see him cracking mentally. I mean, I think you'll see he lives on to hope he comes back. But at the end, he ends up losing minutes and minutes. But to me, more mental than physical.
Was this the first time the two of you had ever faced off on a climb?
Yeah.
That's a great question. It was, right, Johan? That was.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the relationship wasn't. I mean, I first crossed Marco Pantani at the 1994 Tour of Mexico. He was on Team Carrera. I was down there. I was on the team with Raul Alcala, who was the big Mexican hero and the race favorite. He was on Carrera with Claudio Chiappucci. He was a worker. He had hair. in
I did that race with you.
He didn't have a lot of hair, though.
He didn't. But he didn't have a bald head. He was trying to have hair, and you could tell he was a dynamic climber. He was already. You're like, oh shit, this guy can climb. But that was, I didn't come across him very much, and certainly not at this level.
If you say 94 on Carrera, he had already won stages in the Giro, and he had already won on Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France. 94.
Well, I think that Tour of Mexico was in the beginning of the year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was in January.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and he was relatively unknown. So
here, basically, obviously you're dropping Pantani, but your main goal is, of course, getting as much time in Ullrich as possible. That's your main goal. And at the same time, you need, because you would say tactically probably it would have been good if Pantani was able to stay with you, and for the tactics it would have been great for us, for the team, which we can talk about maybe after the stage on a decision we made during that tour based on the not so strong team in the mountains. But here you have no choice. You need to put as much time as possible in Ullrich because he was our main favorite. And on top of that, there's still there's Heras in front. There's Escartin in front, who was third the year before. So you need to catch those guys. Here they are, by the way.
And here you really start to see the weather deteriorate. You have Richard Virenque. There's Tricky Beltran, who ended up, as I said earlier, became one of our most Escartin podium from the year before. Is that Santi Botero?
That's Botero.
You know it's Botero because he was the only guy that wore a helmet back in that day. We looked at him like he was such a geek. I'm like, seriously, bro? You're going to wear a helmet on the climb?
Helmet and never left the big chain ring. He was hard to miss.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm just thinking, gosh, I mean, I felt great. I got to tell you, I was completely in my element, in my zone. Not, I could have ridden like this for 2 hours. And again, the conditions with the cold, cool temps, wet temps, just perfect for me. These guys are just going backwards. Of course, Johan is giving me time checks in the ear. Also, you have a little bit of the time board from the moto, but it's
so. Lance, you were just saying something on the radio there. Were you at this point? Obviously, you're trying to get. There's Botero, but at this point, you're trying to get time on your rivals. But are you also thinking about the stage win here because you're pretty far back still?
Oh, I mean, we started very far back, and you'll see here at the end, it gets down there. It's one of the. Of course, I mean, I was always trying to get stage wins, except for Mont Ventoux. And that's a whole nother subject. But in hindsight, it's one of those things where you're glad you didn't. I mean, as we know how the story unfolded for Ochoa and the tragedy that came into his life and his family's life, it's one of those things where it's like, man, so glad I didn't catch that dude. Give him that moment. Give that family that moment.
Yeah.
And again, just watch it, just never sitting down. And people always ask me, and I could only, I grew up a runner, right? I grew up a triathlete. I was, standing up on a bike like that is closer to running than it is to cycling. So that's the only thing I could ever think of is just trying to get my, open up that hip angle, get that body more in a running position. And again, the cadence after this year, that's all, everybody got used to the cadence. But you'll see as we start to pick people up, there's a lot of people up the road. First one we'll catch here is our old friend Nico Matan, who gave me a nice little wink. And even gave me a little pull first. Here he comes right here. Look, I said, come on, boy, come on, help a brother out. Come on, get your ass up here. And he looks and watch him. He pulls for as long as he can. I'm like, all right, man, I'll buy you coffee later.
Yeah, talk about the team dynamics, how quickly they change. I mean, here you have Kelme and Benesto, obviously, demanding, dominating position. And then as soon as you get to the bottom of the climb, that all changes. They probably go from trying to put you in a really tough position, trying to gain spots into the overall, to where the director's like, all right, you guys save energy. He's coming. Let's see if we can at least win this stage now.
Right. And that's, again, I think we benefited from it being early in the run of 7, because if that's 2 or 3 years later, there's no way they let me get away with that. Of course, here, catch up to.
I don't know if they had a choice. for anything different this day, the way you were riding.
No, this day they had no choice, but they didn't burden me with the workload early on, which would have been really inconvenient. You see, we'll catch up here to Chava Jimenez in a sec. I mean, he was a guy who was, you talk about a pure climber. I mean, Pantani was one, Chava Jimenez was another. Just 2 years before this, won the Tour of Spain, which was for me a big turning point in my career. As I got fourth there, it was probably the moment where I thought, I know it was the moment where Johan thought that I could certainly contend for a big tour, but he was unbeatable in that Vuelta in 1998.
He won a lot of stages, Lance, but he didn't win the Tour of Spain. Olano won it.
Oh, did Olano beat him in the time trial or came back in?
There was a huge fight going on.
Big fight, yeah.
But he didn't win the Tour of Spain.
And he was, you're right. And he was such a, like like in the hearts of the fans, he was sort of the winner. He was the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was always such a likable fella. I mean, just playful, innocent. And again, another really cool guy that was taken from us way too fucking early. So here is he and I, and he was, I was not very friendly with a lot of these guys, nor were they friendly with me. Chava Jimenez was a guy who always had a smile, always a pat on the back, always a really cool, just way about him. And so here, and I'm sure he's just sitting here going, wait a minute. Yeah. Like to your point, George, like I was hearing on the radio, you guys had this shit all set up. There's 6 of you back there. You'll see when they come across the finish line. And what is he doing here all alone?
Yeah.
He was one of those riders for sure. That he didn't even know how to work a power meter or even a heart rate monitor. He was pure riding on the feelings and really a natural born climber. Look at the difference. This is a guy who's been out there at show up for such a long time. The difference in the cadence and the speed. He still had 4 minutes at that point, 4.5 minutes. And finally, he's going to win the stage, but with a very small margin. And hats off to Jimenez. He's dead. For sure. He's been out there for a long time, but he's hanging on for dear life.
Well, it speaks to his talent. He's a pure climber. Johan, one thing we didn't talk about. Sorry, George, go ahead. We'll get to it.
I mean, look at the way that these teams were set up, especially the Spanish teams. I mean, they were all climbers sent to the tour. I mean, they had, like I said earlier, Benesto, 3 to 4 guys in the breakaway, Kelme, 3 to 4 guys in the breakaway. They were definitely way better than us on the climb, so we had to make up for it in other ways during that year's Tour de France.
Yeah. Well, at least we didn't have Vaughters on the team. That automatically made us stronger. One thing we didn't talk about, Johan, and sort of in the run-up here was you remember we were out previewing. I don't remember where we were or what downhill I was on, but we were testing out those new wheels. And again, out like a dumbass did back in the day, training with no helmet. And I'm just ripping on one of the downhills and hit a little stone in this area. And
it was this specific stage that we were previewing.
Yeah.
So we went up
I knew I ended up in the Lourdes Hospital.
We went up the Obisque and then we went up the Soulor, and at the top of the Soulor we stopped. And at that time you were riding with a helmet in training and you forgot to put your helmet on for the downhill. I do remember that. And then we were kind of trying to catch up with you. It was me driving and Julien in the back. It was just the 3 of us there.
Yeah.
And finally, we saw you there lying in a corner. You had hit a rock with your head.
No, I hit a wall. Oh. The front tire blew, and I obviously lost complete control. I had no option. I said, "Shit." Yeah. I can either keep trying to turn this thing, which I know how that ends, or let me see if I can just straighten out here and try to stop in time. And it just kept going straight. And I passed this couple. I'll never forget sitting on this park bench having lunch. Turned out to be 2 husband and wife, both French-Canadian doctors. And I just couldn't slow it down. And there was a drainage ditch in front of a wall, and that front wheel went right in the ditch, and my head just, I mean, I don't know if you remember, Johan, my face, my head was twice as big.
I remember,
And when you guys came up, and I didn't, obviously I'm sitting here today, I didn't die, but they said, the two doctors said, we expected to walk over and see a dead man.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. And I was just like, oh my God, what just happened? And this isn't that long before this tour.
This was in the month of May, Lance. And then you obviously had that accident. And about 20 days later, we went back to do that stage because we had identified this would be a crucial moment. Yeah. And you actually did the stage in more or less the same conditions as this. And I do remember we went up Hautacam at the end of the training, and I told you, okay, let's get in the car and we go straight to the hotel. It was cold. And you said, no, I'm going down and I want to do it one more time because I don't understand the climb yet.
I feel like I didn't get it. I always like to get out there and was certainly look at it now. You have people everywhere. You can't see the curves that are coming up necessarily. You can't, you don't get a feel for the road. And so it's much easier to do, obviously, when nobody was there. But I don't know, man. And it was just you and me. Not like I'm showing off, it's not like there were any cameras there. I was like, hopefully there was the one American. Do you see the one American? That was it. That was the one American right there.
Hopefully it went a bit slower on the downhill than on the second recon than you did on the first recon. That's one thing I never understand is why do people race down hills when it's not part of a race? Of course, full gas in racing, but in training, never a need for that.
So here I remember, Lance, with 2 or 3 kilometers to go until the final. I was calculating in the car because, at that point we still thought that it would be possible to win the stage, but especially Ellie had been part of a breakaway and had a huge margin. And so you were going fast there to get the yellow jersey that day, because Ellie was not part of the main group, but he still had a big enough margin to keep yellow. And so we actually wanted to take yellow there, which you did. This is the first stage you take yellow in that Tour de France,
which was a big day for our team. And obviously we had a very disappointing performance. So that night, none of us, except for probably Lance, slept very good because we thought we better do better than we did on this stage. It didn't work out so well for us.
It worked out just fine. I mean, it was everybody, even in not just, individuals. The teams have bad days, right? Whatever it is, whether it's could have slept in a crappy hotel, maybe the food wasn't great, maybe it's just everything lines up and have a bad day. But this worked out just fine. Here comes Jimenez getting third, total legend. You're about to see the fucking TV attacker Richard Virenque come around the corner, just having to sprint around for 82nd place. It's shit like that just drives me crazy.
Yeah, look at the little detail I saw when he passes the finish line. Make sure that his mouth is completely closed.
It's just such a game.
So that's 3. That's Jimenez. And who's this?
This is Beltran, Virenque,
Escartin, Heras, and Veron.
Again, this ultimately becomes 2 of our teammates, Roberto Heras and Tricky Beltran. We ended up, we talk a lot about the team from 99 to 2000. Boy, at the end, we got it down to a place where it was a super team. And, here's Virenque just simply doing this just so when French TV shows it at night, it drives me crazy. And then again, right here's Pantani. This to me is a man who's just mentally said, all right, I'm done. And this is not physically he was better than this. I think he didn't expect that day to happen. I think Jan expected it. I think Jan knew that he came in behind. He knew he was going to lose time on the first mountain day and that he was going to have to just minimize the time and hang in there and hopefully try to come back at the end, which, by the way, he does, right? He catches me at the end of the race on a bad day.
Johan, he won the Giro that year, didn't he, Pantani?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. But, here, for example, Pantani, this is a super important day because, if you look before the stage, he's already, 4 minutes down. in GC. So, this is a blow for him, like first mountain stage, losing that much time. So Ullrich, obviously, Ullrich defends himself quite well, although, he doesn't look in the greatest shape. He was a lot better, as he said before, Lance, in the third week. But this was important for us, to put time on him.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that was the plan going in. Again, it's funny. He looks better. We're all a little older and slower and chubbier now. He looks, and there's the appearance by Joseba Bilocchi, who's obviously became a big nemesis for us and a big character in the sport, but completely different team, completely different look, but already starting to show himself as a young pro.
So you're right. Garzelli won the Giro in 2000.
Yeah. Teammate of him, right?
What's that?
This is Zule and Mancebo. So, I mean,
Mancebo's still racing, by the way.
This guy's still racing.
Mancebo is still racing today. This is 20 years ago, guys.
I'm still racing too, but I'm only racing the guy that's wearing the C and the douches t-shirt. That's the only fucking guy I care about right now. He's in my crosshairs. And look at Bartoli. Here's another one. Do you guys remember what Michele Bartoli said about me? Do you remember that, Johan?
I don't know.
Oh, he was like, he just completely and of us, totally dismissive. So I was glad to kick his ass that day. I can tell you that.
So look at the time Pantani lost. Ullrich is already in. All these guys that Zule, they're all in already, and Pantani still has 500 meters to go. This is Christophe Moreau, I think.
Yeah, but like we were saying earlier, Pantani was either first or last. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as he couldn't go with Lance, mentally he was probably like, forget this, I'm going for stage wins. Although it looks like he's still going hard there, but he's one of those guys where if he's not winning, he's probably not performing.
And Peter Luttenberger.
Yeah. So you see, and we'll see Marco come in here. I mean, this was a guy who just shattered. Again, physically is better than this. But you never knew what was going on in his mind, right? He was a very complicated guy. He was a huge star, win or lose. He was a huge star, but complicated. Nobody had the map to that brain. I mean, he was unique, and will be missed forever. I still get a lot of tweets and comments on Instagram, Strava, et cetera, based on or talking about Pantani. He's a mythical character. So, all right. Well, that was the climb to Hautacam in 2000. Guys, that was exciting. Thanks for joining in. What do we have next? We got, can somebody just tell me this? Because I'm supposed to know this, but I don't know. Is this some sort of, are we going in chronological order? Are we going to now do something from 2001? Who's deciding this?
Johan.
Johan has decided everything for the last 20 years. So I guess he's just, what are we doing next, Johan?
We're doing something about 2001, but I can't, off the top of my head now, I can't tell. JB, do you know which one it is?
I don't.
We do Alpe d'Huez from 2001.
Is
that the time trial year, Alpe d'Huez?
No, that was 2004. So 2001 is what everybody refers to as the look. And I'll just give you, you all listening or watching, a little preview. I wasn't looking at Jan Ullrich.
Yeah, I know. There's going to be some really good stories, some good anecdotes about that stage. I mean, I would recommend that's definitely a show to watch.
I have some funny pre-tour stories that year as well, which I think people will find entertaining.
You're gonna save those though.
I'm gonna save them. Yeah, I'm gonna save them.
No teasers.
Stories we haven't heard yet, George. Maybe I haven't heard it yet.
You might have heard them. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Wait, have I heard them?
Probably. No, yeah, you probably have actually.
Huh. Okay.
We're saving them.
And we will also reveal my respiratory rate based on the Oura ring, so we can just totally humiliate George.
I add one other thing that we're doing for the next show is the members will get to see a little peek under the hood if you have the season pass.
Yeah, members we're gonna bring you. We got to figure that out, but we're gonna figure out a way.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You know, that's look. That's what everybody's doing now. All these Zooms, all these things where you got to get on and show your face. I fucking hate it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I hate it. You know, I'd rather just talk. But you got to sit there. You can't look away like, oh, he's looking at his phone. How rude. He's checking his text messages. Right? You're busted all the time. But anyways, we're going to find a platform where we can get thousands of y'all on to sit here with us. Now, warts and all, hiccups and all, bad hair and all, our members are going to get to see through it all. And by the way, I sent out a video to the members, and I just want to say it here again for the larger audience who either is a member or not, or wants to be, you know, because we had some questions like what's going on. The tour didn't happen. You know, what's happening with our membership. Listen, we're being told the tour is happening, right? And so we want to, we'll cover the race just as we always have. First and foremost, we hope everybody's healthy and well. But nothing's changed for us. Been a few hiccups on the production side for the members only exclusive stuff. That's just now ironed out. Come tour time, we think everybody will be rolling along and everything will be rolling along as always. So we're looking forward to that. If you do, JB, how do we send people to be members? Good.
You can do it for wedo.team. You'll see an icon that says season pass.
Season pass. Yeah, come join us there. We're going to keep adding to the exclusive content, and as JB said, we'll be putting up these shows from now on live to you all, so you don't have to wait. JB is a busy man. He takes this shit like we're doing it now. It's going to take. He's got to fit in like this with all his other stuff, and then eventually we'll put it out.
By the way, if it looks like it's happening with the season, I mean, you guys are going to get sick of us because we're going to be talking about so many races back to back to back, starting at the end of August, that it's going to be a lot of us time in your lives. But hopefully you'll get some good content out of us and some exciting racing.
Exactly. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been fun. These are good memories. This is, you know what? Like I always say, even though nobody, I don't know if y'all can see back there, nobody ever came to get that one. And there's 6 more of those somewhere. Nobody ever came. But that's not what's important. What's important is nobody ever came and nobody ever can come to take our memories, right? We'll never forget the dinner tables before that night. I will never forget the dinner table after that night. I'm looking around going, holy shit, we've got this jersey by minutes and minutes. Are these guys going to be here? Are they going to rise to the occasion? And they did. And so those are the memories that nobody can ever take, like it or not. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple of days. See you in the douches.
Thanks, guys.